Let's welcome to Totally Driven Radio, the one, the only, the man from Upper Darby himself, Mr. Jeff LaBar. Jeff, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I have a funny story to tell you, but I'm going to wait until the end of the interview to tell you because I don't want to embarrass myself up front. So, being that I am also from Upper Darby, I've met you a few times.
Oh, really? Oh, awesome.
Actually, it's kind of scary story. It was for me. I mentioned in the little talk-up, being from Upper Darby, when you guys broke, I was able to follow you guys, whether it was, listening to Metal Shop on YSP on the weekends or in the local news. In the local newspaper, they would write articles about you guys. And, seeing and hearing the rise of Cinderella come up, and then, once Night Songs came out and everything, it kind of made things reality where before you guys it was you're hearing all about LA and Hollywood and Motley Crue and Rat and guys like that, and then it was wow, I guess it is possible, here's these guys from our neighborhood, they're doing it.
Who knew? Right?
Yeah, who knew?
Right. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but at that time, like you said, it was the genre of hard rock was pretty much all LA bands.
Right.
And and we got signed out of Philly, South Jersey. So I guess we showed that it was possible.
Right. Now, did you you personally did you feel any pressure? All of a sudden, here you are, you guys are playing the clubs in Philly and Jersey. And then next thing you know, you're going out on tours with big names, and you're out on tour with David Lee Roth. It's all of a sudden you're playing from 500 people in a club to 15 to 20,000 a night. It's
well, there was a couple steps. There was a couple steps in between. I mean,
right.
Actually, I had just started playing the Jersey club circuit with a band called Precious Metal, who later became White Fox when I left to join Cinderella. And so with Cinderella, when I got into Cinderella, they were already signed. So I already knew what I was in for. We continued to demo songs. We stayed in the club circuit for another year after we got signed. So we were still playing the Galaxy in South Jersey, in Somerdale, for every Saturday night at midnight, and we just played the Empire twice a month. So we were only playing six nights a month,
right?
And but we continued to demo. So we did a bunch of demos upstairs at the Galaxy, rehearsed upstairs at the Galaxy, and eventually we were able to quit our jobs. And we only took salaries, what we were making at our day jobs. And I was detailing cars for $125 a week or something ridiculous like that, But that was back then. So when we were able to, the first tour that we took was opening up for that Japanese metal band Loudness,
right?
And it was us and Poison, both opening. So it was both our first tours. And so we did that in, open small theaters and auditoriums and stuff. We only did that for about 2 weeks. And both us and Poison were up for the David Lee Roth's first solo tour away from Van Halen.
Right.
And we got that gig. So, yes, then I walked into Hampton, Virginia Arena. I forget the name of the arena, but I believe it was Hampton, Virginia. And I walked across that floor and was watching them set up David Lee Roth's stage, and I was like, "Oh wow, I can't believe I'm playing here. This is this is it," And no sooner did I think that I turned around and Dave and two security guys are walking towards me. I'm like, "Oh my God!" And Dave was just apparently Dave knew who I was and said, "Hey, it ought to be a good crowd here for you tonight. If there's anything you need, just all you got to do is ask."
Wow.
So I was just dumbfounded. I didn't even say anything. I probably stammered something back at him, But like about a week or so into the tour, he had this amazing light show, just unbelievable light pars all over, and we had maybe 2% of it. we set up in front of all his stuff, and we had like maybe he had them like all blocks, like these blocks of lights that all moved individually, and I think he gave us like 2 out of like 50. So I was like, hey Dave, hey Jeff, my name's Jeff LaBar. I play in the opening bands. He's like, yeah, I know who you are. I was like, remember you were like, we talked last week. You're like, anything we need, all you got to do is ask. I was like, how about a few more lights? That would be awesome. He goes to me, he goes, how about selling a few more records? Well, we sold a few more records. Our record went gold on that tour, and seriously, like the next night, we had like 2 more blocks of lights.
It's like a little present from David Lee Roth.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
No, you said like when you stepped on that stage in Hampton, Virginia, and you were like, oh wow. Did you have a lot of those moments throughout your career, like those oh wow moments, like holy shit, like this is real?
Yeah. I mean, there was like I said, there was different steps along the way. Yeah, walking into that arena and then stepping onto that stage, an arena stage. I was a kid in a candy store because I'm very active on stage. I like to run around, and oh my God, it just. And then when we got to headline, and it was our own stage, I got to use the wings and the ego ramps and all that stuff, and we got our own little off-stage homes, like where we have our guitars. Like you have the ego ramps on the side that go up. Okay. You have steps that go up on top of the subwoofers and stuff. Well, you equally have steps that go down underneath those ego ramps, and that's your little house. That's your little house to do. You make clothing changes. Your guitar tech lives under there. All your guitars are under there, amps, other stuff. And back in the day, quite frankly, we had the benefit of drugs and alcohol and women under there too.
Sure.
During a show.
Sure.
So.
There was a whole other show going on underneath the stage that was going on top of the stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I lived for the drum solo.
Is that the whole point of having a drum solo and guitar solo, so everybody can just go underneath the stage and partake in what's going to happen?
Well, I think at the time in the 80s, we just took that opportunity to make the most of it.
Right.
And my guitar tech was so decadent back then, and so he had some surprises waiting for me, quite a few nights. But no, the drum solo is it's basically to let the other 3 guys take a break.
Right.
The drummer, he gets a break every now and then when we do some instrumental things, or we do extended intros or segues between songs. So it's just I think it's mostly to give the singer a break.
Well, everybody's got to get their turn to take a break. Everybody needs a break.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're doing 2-hour shows. You need a break.
I don't need no stinking break.
Now, you said that, if anybody's seen Cinderella, Jeff is like the wild man on stage where he's running about. And but the one thing which I really, I guess Philadelphia is the ones that are in the area that this originated in, as far as I know, is the guitar spin.
I'm sorry.
The guitar spin. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, have you ever had where you spun your guitar and it's gone flying off?
Oh yeah, I've been doing that as long as I've been playing guitar almost. So I've been playing guitar since I think I was like 15 or 16. Oh yeah, I mean I've broken a lot of guitars. I'm very good at it though. When I was back in the '80s, when I was endorsing, it was I could have a headstock. You know, I had other necks to replace it. I could, you know, my guitar neck on, you know,
Right.
and have me ready for that. I had lots of Kramers. I had lots of guitars. I didn't spin Les Paul or Fender. It was mostly
Right.
Kramers. Although now I spin my Les Paul because I broke that a couple times too.
Oh, yeah. Because I saw you spinning in the new video.
It happens. But I use seatbelt material, seatbelts from a car,
Okay.
and bolt them right into my guitars. Every now and then a screw comes out, and like I said, stuff happens every now and then. But I haven't broken a headstock in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like being a teenager, and the first band I saw do it was Tease. The first time I saw them, it was like '85, and then the first time I saw you guys, the following year, was actually your guys' last show at the Empire before you went on tour. Great, yeah, freaking phenomenal show, and like those two shows like changed my whole life. I mean, it was just because you never saw nothing like that. I mean, seeing stuff like you'd see on MTV or whatever it was at the time, but seeing, bands like Cinderella or Tease back in the, the 80s, I mean, there was nothing like a show like that where it was just high energy and just great music.
Yeah, before I got into Cinderella, when I was playing with Precious Metal, we opened for Tease also. You know, and I agree with you. Tease and Cinderella were the ultimate bands back then, but both Cinderella and Tease learned from the Dead End Kids.
Right.
It was the Dead End Kids that started with the guitar spinning. I mean, that's how I learned how to do it. You know, when the Dead End Kids, what was that? Like the late '70s, early '80s, when they were playing the Hurricane East down the shore, down Wildwood. You know, I actually had to get a fake ID to go see them. I was that young. And that's how I learned how to play. That's how I learned how to play heavy metal. You know, I came from a lot of different types of music. You know, first like an acoustic guitar, playing some like folk music and stuff, and then like Yes, Genesis, Pink Floyd, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Then when I was a teenager, I got into Zeppelin, Alice Cooper, Deep Purple, Queen. And then it wasn't until I saw the Dead End Kids that I heard Judas Priest and Iron Maiden.
Wow.
I was like, I thought those were original songs from the Dead End Kids, and then so he told me, and some of my friends, we got to start listening to Priest and Maiden, which led to Exodus and Slayer and Venom. And, seriously, and Anthrax and Metallica. Before I got into Cinderella, or before I got into Precious Metal, I was actually playing in a band that we did all Metallica and Merciful Fate.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was. I remember like people telling me that too when I was younger. They were like, "Yeah, Jeff, he loves Cinderella and he's in Cinderella and all, but his true love is the heavier stuff. He really loves the real heavy stuff." And and I was always told too, you were a big fan of Loudness.
Oh yeah, I was. I loved Loudness. I was a big fan, and when we got to tour with them, our first tour, I was thrilled. The other guys in the band were like, "Who?" I was like, "Well, they're Japanese. My mother's Japanese, so not that I knew them because my mother's Japanese. I knew them because I used to buy records from the independent labels back then that just did heavy metal, like Shrapnel Records and Music for Nations and Megaforce.
Right.
You know, I collected those, and that's how I learned of new really heavy guitar oriented bands. You know, so I mean, it's not just that for me. Like I said, I grew up on Fleetwood Mac, Elton John, the Eagles, you know, stuff like that. Everything, you know, people ask me, well, who do you like? What new bands do you like? You know, I nowadays I listen to everything from, you know, Bruno Mars to Five Finger Death Punch.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I love good music, whether it's heavy, whether it's sensitive or emotional, whatever. You know, I like all that stuff.
Now, how about you're in Nashville now, right? You're based out of Nashville now.
Mhm.
Yeah. How what's your feeling like on country music? I mean, because country music nowadays is like, you know, hard rock in the '80s. It's taken over.
I know. I hate country music. Me and my wife, Debbie, we just like, yeah, you live in Nashville. Oh, you a country music fan? Nope. I'm not a country music fan, but I can appreciate some of it. You know, I mean, Keith Urban and Brad Paisley are really good guitar players, good songwriters, and you know, I can appreciate it. I'm not a fan, but I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying is like a lot of country artists who live like literally down the street from me are redoing 80s metal songs, or just doing songs that sound like they were 80s hard rock songs, you know, because the style of country music, the contemporary country music is not authentic country.
Yeah.
It really is. It's really pop with a twang.
Yep.
It's hard rock from the 80s with a southern accent.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. That's exactly.
I seriously, like some of my neighbors, like half of my neighbors are country music artists, and the other half are 80s music artists.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of a lot of the guys from your genre and your scene have moved down there as well. Everybody we talk to is in Nashville now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when I first moved down here, I've been here about 10 years, but that's because that's what a music business is. It's just like when everybody went to L.A.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the music business was. I'm going to L.A. to make it in rock music. Well, we were already in it, and we just one by one in Cinderella came to Nashville. First it was Fred Corey who came to Nashville and opened a studio. He actually bought Conway Twitty's studio, and now Fred is thriving in his studio in L.A. But it was just one by one. I think Tom followed, and he started writing here and recording here, Eric, and then me. It was just, this is where the business is, so this is where we live.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, and it's not like you said where everybody went to make it in rock music in L.A. Now it's just like everybody comes to make it in music, period, to Nashville.
Well, I think a lot of the people that went to L.A. to make it in rock music that have already made it, they are escaping L.A. to come to Nashville and write and record, like, legitimately. Sure.
So, all right. So you have your first solo album coming out. What finally made you want to do a solo album? Oh, well, that sucks. We lost Jeff. Let's give him a couple seconds to call back in. If not, I'll give him a call back. But that's the truth, though. Like, everybody we talk to, it's Nashville. Every musical artist, no matter what genre of music they're in, whether it's hard rock or metal or country or even pop. They're all in Nashville just because between the writers and the studio and everything else that is down there, people are just flocking to Nashville to make it in that music business. So let me see. I'll give Jeff another couple seconds. And don't forget, everybody, go to jefflabar.com, and you can get all the information on his new solo album coming out. And, all right, let me try calling him back. Hang tight, everybody. Let me get Jeff back on the phone here.
This call could not be completed because you're trying to reach a Skype user.
Oh. Lovely Skype. Skype. So, all right, so until Jeff calls back in, I don't want to play his song yet. I mean, the song is awesome. Make sure you check it out. Like I said, if you go on jefflabar.com, it's got all the info on the album. It's also got the video up there for No Strings, where you can see Jeff. And actually, Jeff is his son is in his band as well. So it's really cool. I guess his son Sebastian played on the album with him. Yep, nothing yet. So that was pretty cool though too. I mean, talking guitar spins. I mean, if you haven't heard, or haven't seen, the guys doing the guitar spins, they used to do it a lot back in the day. They don't do it as much, but Jeff actually does do it in the new video for No Strings, which is kind of cool too because he is doing it with a Les Paul. So Let me see. Good old Skype. If you listen to this show, you know I'm not a fan of Skype. Let me try calling him one more time. Let's see if I can get it to work.
This call could not be completed because you're trying to reach a Skype user. This call could not be completed because you're trying to reach a Skype
Jeff,
user.
You there?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. All right. So the solo album. What made you finally want to do a solo album?
Okay, this is I was in the middle. I was telling a whole story and it got cut off. I've been threatening to do a solo record for years. To my wife, to my manager, Larry Morand, my wife Debbie. So in 2012. When we at the end of our Cinderella's last tour, as we're getting off the bus, literally as we're getting off the bus, it's been announced that Tom is putting out a solo record. We're like, oh, okay. So Larry Morand, my manager, basically called me out on it. So Tom didn't want to announce his solo record. Apparently he had already been planning on it. He didn't want to announce his solo record while Cinderella was on tour. He didn't want to take away from the Cinderella tour and put all the focus on him, blah, blah, blah. So it was when we were stepping off the bus at the end of the tour in Nashville that it came out, and my tour manager said, now's the time. Debbie, my wife, Debbie basically kicked my ass, and Larry smacked me in the back of the head and said, you need to do this now. So I did. I got up off the couch after about a week and went into the studio, recorded like 3 songs with the help of Troy Lucetta from Tesla, throwing down some drum tracks, and I went in the studio with my engineer, Ronnie Honeycutt, and recorded skeletons of like 3 songs before Christmas.
Okay.
So with Fred Corey, he with the promise that he would mix it, because he's such a great producer. With drum tracks, I recorded everything myself. I did guitars, bass, vocals, keyboards, all that stuff, because I wanted to make it a true solo record.
Cool.
I got 3 songs done before Christmas, and then at the beginning of 2013, I went out and started working with band Cheap Thrill, which was with Eric Birmingham, and we've done a few side projects together. And that gig we went out every weekend for like a year. So I didn't get back in the studio as much as would have liked to, and I only got in like maybe once or twice a week, but not even every week. So it took me about a year basically to finish the rest of it. So so I got signed to, with Larry's help, I got signed to Rat Pack Records, who put out John Corabi and Lynch Mob and Dave Brood from Tesla. So they just wanted an EP. I was like, okay, we'll do like 5-song EP with a full length album to follow.
Okay.
Well, that plan changed along the way. It was like, now give us 7 songs, and then we'll do like make this side A, and we'll do another 7. I mean, if it was up to me, I've seen the way. I've been saying this for years. I've seen the way that the music business has gone, and it's short attention span theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
You put out. I could put out just 1 song at a time. It's not. Not many people buy whole CDs. I think it's the older generation like us that like the packaging.
Sure.
The younger generation, they just want a song. They want to download a song from iTunes, and they couldn't care less about the packaging.
Right.
But so yeah, I said, okay, let's do 7 songs, release 1 song at a time, whatever, or release 1 song now, do a video, and then we'll release the CD, the 7-song CD as like a side A, and then I'll get in the studio and do 7 more.
Nice.
As like a side B. It was I just saw recently Colbie Caillat just put out an EP. A lot of young artists are also putting out EPs. Because of the short attention span theater, and she actually she has a name to her CD, I can't remember what it is, but she actually called it Side A. So, I was like, see, I told you.
That's funny. Now, with Cinderella, like Tom did most of the writing. So have you been like writing yourself like for years and like sitting on a pile of songs, or was this all like once you got in the studio you started putting the songs together, or?
Yeah, it was the first thing you said. Yeah, I've written songs. I haven't been sitting on a pile of them, but I've written songs. Actually, Tom, Tom being so talented made me lazy.
Sure.
I didn't have to work as hard. Although, although Tom being so talented really really inspired me too, and he's actually become probably my biggest influence in my career. But I've been writing songs since a teenager, and some of these songs I've been sitting on for a while. Some of the songs are pieces of music that I wrote a long time ago, or lyrics I wrote a long time ago and finally put music to, or vice versa.
Right.
So
now how about
couple of songs I had written the music a long time ago and didn't have lyrics to them until I sat down with my iPad and and put my mind to it.
Right. And how about, singing? I mean, this is like your first time singing and being a frontman now.
Well, I've been singing on Cinderella records and Cinderella tours for a long time. I just haven't been singing lead vocal.
Right.
So I think people didn't know that that I could do that. As far as being a frontman, I haven't, actually taken it, in front of a live audience yet. So, we'll see how that goes.
Is there plans to be doing that? Or, you going to be doing shows, any mini tours or anything? Or
thinking about it.
Nice.
I just started doing all this press this week, and of course everybody's asking me that, and
right.
I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm thinking about putting a band together. Like I said, I played everything, sang and played everything on the record, but we did a video to the first single, No Strings,
right?
And it's my son, my 21-year-old son Sebastian, on guitar in the video, and we've always wanted to play together. We've played together in different situations, but he plays in a great band called Mach 22.
Right.
They're so much like early Guns N' Roses, and he's already told me. I was like, what would you do if we want to play together? He would love to tour with me, but I was like, well, I don't want to take you away from that band. He's like,
sure.
I'll take this. I'll go. So if I could get Sebastian away from Mach 22 for a minute, and my bass player in the video is Jasmine Kane.
Okay.
She's a great singer, songwriter, bass player, artist here in Nashville that does a lot of touring on her own. And Matt Arn, who's the drummer in the video, who a rockabilly band called Hillbilly Casino. If I could get those three people, I think I would have a great touring band.
Now, what's that like for you? Where you have, I know you've played, you've joined Sebastian on stage with Mach 22 and stuff like that in Philly for shows here and there. What's that for you as a father to get up on stage and turn on the stage and be, you're playing with your son. Did you ever think something like that would happen?
No. I never. Son. The arm, and he like a. Along took it back, but and it's going to go college. We thought maybe West Point like that.
Right.
He went to Penn State. And all year he became me. I was like, oh, wow, that was weird. But yeah, I never thought. The first time I played on stage was when he was with School of Rock. They did physical graffiti.
Okay.
Like beginning to end, and I got to go. That's like my favorite record of all time.
Wow.
And he still had the buzz cut and all. And then the next time I got to play with him was with Mach 22. And
right.
He had the long hair and but yeah, it was awesome. The coolest thing we ever did together was the video.
Which I got it, like, the song No Strings, which is absolutely phenomenal, and this is no bullshit too. A friend of mine called me like 2 hours before we went on the air tonight. An old friend of mine. He's like, dude, I heard you got Jeff on the show tonight. He's like, I heard his new song. He said somebody posted it on Metal Sludge. It's friggin' awesome.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, people are loving it. But I was gonna say the song No Strings. Is that about your first marriage?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's about my son's mother.
Which
and he knows it. And he knows what the song's about, and he's all over it.
Yeah, because I was saying to myself, like, the first time I saw it, I'm like, wow. I'm like, I think that's about like Jeff's ex and Sebastian's mom, and Sebastian's just singing right along with it.
Yeah. He's a little on my side there.
Well, that's a plus. That's definitely a plus. Which I mean, some of the lyrics that really stood out. I mean, the one lyric, "You once lived the dreams I made." I was just like, wow, that's pretty deep right there.
I know. That's part of us being a songwriter, is that you're putting it all out there. I mean, if you're not putting it all out there, as far as like, you know, speaking on your personal life, you know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're writing songs about chicks. Yeah,
it always comes back to the chicks.
Right, and that's where I came from. I came from the 70s, where we wrote songs about love, and we wrote songs about not so much love.
Yeah. So, all right, so the album comes out officially August 26th, Rat Pack Records, and people can go to jefflabar.com, and it leads you right to Rat Pack's page for you.
Yes.
And there's all different packages, and you can get CD, you can get signed CD, which you were, I think it was today or yesterday, you were tweeting out pictures of you signing all 500 copies. And
Yes. Yeah, you can. Yeah, ratpackrecords.com. You can order CDs. You can pre-order CDs on Amazon. You can order the single No Strings on iTunes and get a jump on the CD or the EP, or, you know, there's so many ways to find it. It's, you know, you could MySpace. Oh my God, did I just say that? I mean,
what's
Rat
MySpace?
Pack Records has a Facebook. I have a Facebook. You know, it's all, you know, the Facebook / Rat Pack Records, Facebook / Jeff LaBar, you know, all that stuff.
It's all over the place.
I've gotten back into the social media. I dropped out of social media for a little while. It was just boring me, and it was a pain in the ass. But I've been on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter like every day. I at least post once a day, you know, keeping people up to date and trying to keep myself relevant.
Right.
You know, and so yeah, jefflabar.com will lead you right to Rat Pack Records, and yeah, those packages are pretty cool. You know, you get like, you can pre-order the CD with, like, you get T-shirts and guitar picks and posters and signed stuff, and, you know, there's even one package that you can get a drum head. I think it's not it's like an actual bass drum.
Wow.
It's not just a bass drum head with a print on it.
Drum.
It's an actual bass drum, but it's
wow.
like a mini bass drum or something like that. You know.
That's cool.
And was one package, the Ultimate Fan Package, is like you get a phone call from me.
How about that?
Yeah, right.
It'll you know what? It'll probably be somebody from Upper Darby. Which I was going to say, like, how many people went through back in, you know, we'll say 1986, Night Songs coming out? How many people all of a sudden said they were friends with Jeff LaBar?
A lot of people that I didn't know. You know, well, I think a lot of the people that I actually knew from Upper Darby didn't claim to know me. It was a lot of people that wouldn't talk to me in high school or give me the time of day. But I love Upper Darby. I miss it so much. I love Philly and miss the food. I miss the pizza. I miss the cheesesteaks and the hoagies. Holy cow!
Which one first funny story. Here's my embarrassing moment.
Okay.
Right before Night Songs came out, I was 15, 16 years old. A friend of mine who was from Canada, and he would come visit his grandparents. He lived across the alley from me twice a year. And it was right before Night Songs was coming out, and he comes down, and at the same time we were both getting into the whole era of hard rock and everything. He's like, dude, Cinderella, they live around here. I'm like, well, yeah, Jeff don't live too far, and Tom and Eric. So he's like, well, we got to find them. I'm like, what do you mean we got to find them? He goes, we're going to find them. And he pulls out a phone book, which we used back in the day, and he got your number out of the phone book, and he said, here, call them. So I started calling you, and I would talk to you like almost every day for like 2 weeks. I was like, yo, man, I want to come out and meet you. I want to come over and like hang out with you. And finally you're like, dude, I don't know you. Like, what do you want from me? I was just like, I just want to hang out, man.
I'm sorry, you're now.
Well, you didn't hear me? Oh, you there?
Hello?
There you go. Can you hear me? Come on. Can you hear me, Jeff? It's Skype. I hate Skype. Jeff, you there?
It might be better just to disconnect and reconnect, babe.
I'm sorry, what?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Okay. So, can you hear me?
Hearing you.
How about now, Jeff?
I hear you now.
There we go. It's Skype. Skype's cutting in and out. Yeah, so I was calling you, and we would talk like every day for a couple of weeks, and then finally you were just like, dude, like, what do you want from my life?
What's that? What do you want? What?
I was calling you. This was, 85, 86.
Okay.
I was calling you to come
Okay.
hang out with you. I me and my friend, we wanted to come hang out with you and talk, music and Cinderella and everything. And finally, after 2 weeks of me calling and bothering you, you're like, dude, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from my life? So, yeah. So 30 years later, here I am interviewing you. I was an annoying kid that annoyed you 30 years ago.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Okay. Skype sucks. I hate Skype, Jeff. No offense, but I hate Skype.
Yeah, I know. In the middle of a phone call, it asked me for $5 more.
Yeah. Screw Skype. I stopped using it a long time ago because of problems. But so yeah. So there was that stupid story.
Well,
but there was also
at Rat Pack Records. Skype for all. Hello?
There you are. Yeah, it's cutting out bad, Jeff.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I'll tell you what. Hey, Jeff, how about I'll do the final plugs for you, and then I'll play the song for you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
I would love to get. Can you cut an ID for me real quick? Maybe we can hear you. This is Jeff LaBar, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Totally Driven Radio?
Yeah.
Sure.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey. Totally Driven Radio.
Can we try one more time?
Sure.
Go for it.
Sure. And you're listening to Radio.
Oh, well. All right. I'm going to play the song for you, Jeff. I want to thank so much.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun talking to you. Good luck with everything.
All right, thanks a lot.
Come back, and we'll talk more Upper Darby anytime, man.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Take care, Jeff.
You too.
All right. All right, everybody. I'm going to play the single from Jeff's upcoming solo CD. And then as soon as the song's done, we got our second guest. He is waiting. So, Sky, just give me a few minutes. I got to play this song, and we'll be right with you. So here's Jeff's